Hey there, Stampers, and welcome to another Step It Up video. This week I'm getting into the Thanksgiving spirit. I love November. It's my birthday month, and I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. So that's what I'm working on this week. So this would be the Step 1 card. Pretty simple, not a lot to it. The most time-consuming thing on all three of these cards is fussy cutting these leaves. I'm using this background stamp and Day of Gratitude stamp set this week. So let me go ahead and show you. This is step 1, step 2, and step 3. Still the same card and the same components, just stepped up. So this is a traditional, like I promised, a traditional Step It Up project. Okay, so we're going to start with a very vanilla card base, and we're going to use crumb cake for this centerpiece. On the step 1 card, I made it a bit larger than what I have here, because on the next two steps I have a mat. So this one measures 4 by 4 1/4 on the step 1 card. It's pretty simple. You're going to ink up the background stamp with chocolate chip, and I just sort of go over it. I'm not being super particular about the coverage, because if it's a little spotty, it's okay. It makes it look like it's an old piece. And so I'm going to make sure first that I have it not upside down. Not that it would matter. I could always turn the cardstock. But anyway, I'm going to put this down. And then I'm just going to lightly rub with my fingers. It's okay, like I said, if it's not a perfect coverage. And then, ta-da, and see, I left it kind of spotty in areas, and I like that look. If you really want it to come out, then by all means, you know, rub with your bone folder, or, you know, whatever you do to get that full coverage. But this is what I wanted. And then I'm going to take a little ink. I'm going to start with more mustard on the card base. And for this level 1, step 1 card, we're not doing a lot, just a tiny bit. So you're going to ink it up and just go around the outside quickly. I must have ink on my hand because I'm spotting up this. And that's it for the level 1. A little more mustard. And then you're going to take some chocolate chip and add a little to the ends of this part that we stamped in the background stamp. Now when I use chocolate chip, it has a kind of a pinky orangey undertone, and when I'm adding, you know, to distress or age something, I like it, but I also like the real rich darkness of early espresso. So on the next layers, we're going to do just this, but then we're going to add another one of early espresso just on the edge, just to darken it up. But anyway, for the step 1, this is it. You're going to wrap a piece of chocolate chip. I think this is chocolate chip. No, that's espresso. Chocolate chip satin ribbon. If I can get my hands on it, here it is. Just tie it in a knot, add it, adhere it to the back. You're going to punch this sentiment in chocolate chip on very vanilla cardstock. And then you're going to use the decorative label punch to punch it out. You're going to stamp the leaves from Day of Gratitude in more mustard, Cajun Craze, and always artichoke. And then you're going to fussy cut them out. That's what this is. I did this ahead of time because there's no way you want to watch that. And then you're going to just layer it with your ribbon. Remember the ribbon's on here. You're going to tuck in your sentiment into the ribbon and then play with your leaves until you get them how you like them. You're going to tear that down, and that's the step 1 card. Really easy. Step 2, we're going to add a little more color to the base. We're going to add a little Cajun Craze to the base. Not a lot, just a little hint of color. So just go on the outsides. And don't worry if you skip a spot, that's fine. You just want a little secondary layer of color because we're adding the Cajun Craze matte. You're going to adhere this together and add it to your card front. And again, with the satin ribbon this time, instead of just a knot, I made a bow, and then I added a Cajun Craze button. And this is hemp, and I like hemp because I can fray the edges really easily, and it kind of looks autumnal, doesn't it? And it's the same thing with the leaves and the sentiment. Stick it in and then add your leaves to get the look that you want. I used a glue dot to adhere the button and the ribbon to the base ribbon. Excuse me. And that's your step 2 card. Your step 3 card is, it's still the same. It still has the bow, the Cajun Craze button, the frayed hemp twine. I did add a vintage tag, and I stamped this G from the sentiment. But what I did differently on the leaves is I took a little sponge dauber, and these same leaves, I sponged the edge of the sentiment. I punched out in chocolate chip a decorative label, and you're just going to cut it in half and then offset it to use as a mat, really simply. I'm just going to put some adhesive on there, and then you're going to offset it, and it looks like a really cute little teeny tiny mat, which I love. That's what I did here. And then on these, let me find my little sponge dauber. I'm always ill-prepared on some level, aren't I? You're just going to come in with your different colors. So I used Always Artichoke and more mustard on the leaf that already had Cajun Craze. So I just kind of daubed in some of the color like this, and then more mustard, and then in the end I came back with a little bit of Cajun Craze to darken, and at the tips a little early espresso or chocolate chip. So you're just giving the leaves more color. And the more mustard goes also on this one, kind of a little down the center, and then I bring Cajun Craze on the ends. And then this one gets a little early espresso, Always Artichoke, sorry. And then a little Cajun Craze. And I just kind of played with it. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever's pleasing to your eye. And then I went back with the color of that leaf and darkened the edges. Does that make sense? So this one's the Cajun. I came back in and just sort of darkened. And these little center parts where you can't really get in with a dauber, I just kind of daubed down right there. And then did the edges like that. You can see how it comes along and looks like that. So play with it, and then I just assembled it, and the assembly was the same way. I did darken the edges of the base, I'm going to pull out some early espresso and show you. I just took some early espresso to the base and to the matted piece. So pretend this is matted. And we're just going to take a little early espresso and come and darken everything just a bit. And the same with the card base. You're just going to, and really I just went right on the edge. Not a whole lot. You're not, changing it a lot. Just adding, it adds a little more depth. And then you layer it with your ribbon, just like we did, adding the little vintage tag. But I think by adding all this color to the leaves, it gives so much, it's a really rich detail. And I was really pleased with how it turned out. Okay, so let me show you all three again. And this one. This is the step 1, step 2, and step 3. Hope you found this helpful, and we'll see you next week. Bye!